Hello, my name is Sikinar, and this is my video submission for Kung Fu Master for the Game Boy for Californithon 2017. I'm actually just going to be using, I figured I'd submit my PB video, but I wanted to provide some additional commentaries, so I'm going to actually have it on the YouTube, and then I'm going to talk over it. I figured this was the cleanest way to make a submission. Anyways, yeah, I'm gonna get started. The estimate for this would probably be anywhere around 6 minutes, 6 to 7 minutes. My PB and the current world record for easy mode is 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Yeah, the RNG for the boss fights is pretty nebulous. It changes quite a bit depending on the context of the situation, but yeah, I'll just get started. I did this on Game Boy interface, which is a kind of like Game Boy player. That's off the screen. So yeah, it's made up of 6 levels. It's similar to other games that came out prior to this. There's a series called Spartan X in Japan. Some of those titles were featured on the NES, like Spartan X2, and then just the game called Kung Fu, which is just sort of like a spiritual successor to. The primary mechanic is, punching and kicking, depending on the kind of enemy. You'll want to kind of change up your moveset a little bit. A lot of the bosses involve stun locking, which you sort of saw me do there. A lot of low kicks to prevent his upper weapon from stun locking you. The second level is pretty cool. It incorporates a couple really minor damage boosts, as well as just some light platforming, kind of trying to dodge some barrels to the best of my ability. I got a little quick cycle there. I beat out those goons in the back of me. Sometimes they'll grab you and stun you. You really want to avoid goons from attacking you, because they stop your movement. This boss is a little trickier. He's very RNG based, the way he decides to throw his barrels. Ideally, you want to kind of get him trapped in the back there, which I did a little bit. It could have been a little better, depending on where you're standing. Now, level 3 is pretty cool. It's one of the first places where you can get some optional bomb drops, depending on what your movement is. They're semi-RNG, but they can be kind of manipulated, and bombs are really nice because they just do a lot of damage to enemies really fast, which is good for most boss battles. I don't know if I get it in this one. It's not the end of the world if you don't, but I'm going to do a weird thing here. I'm going to walk backwards here to actually despawn and respawn that boss a little closer to me on this platform so I can actually stun lock him. Otherwise, you'd have to jump over these little piston things that shoot air at you, and they're really, really hard to move around, and it's ultimately slower to try to fight the boss through them. It's kind of a fun little exploit of how the game spawns enemies. This level is kind of one of the first levels that's can make or break a run. A lot of the enemies here you actually want to just be able to bypass by manipulating the way they move, like that guy. I didn't actually kill that star-throwing dude, I just kind of like pushed him past myself. The cool thing about these little goons is that you can actually jump over them, which is nice, depending on where they spawn and stuff. This boss is a huge pain. You ideally want to be able to push him into the elevator back there and then actually kill him right there so you can walk right on. Sometimes he'll jump behind you and actually like vanish off screen and then respawn behind you, and you have to backtrack, which is a huge pain, but not a big deal. It's like a, for a marathon, it's totally safe. This level has some funny little obstacle courses here. Nothing too crazy. Actually here, you can strategically, if you decide to take a little extra damage in spots where it's not a huge time loss, you can actually save yourself a little bit at the end game, because the way that the game rewards you for points is the more health you have, the more you accrue points, which can actually take a second. So sometimes if you can just take a couple quick hits, you save yourself a little time on the countdown at the end, which you'll see I kind of do here. A lot of that was luck, though. I did get a heal, which kind of threw me off, but... You'll notice I have a bomb now, which means I can't use my punch command or else it'll throw a bomb, but luckily right at the beginning here for the final boss, you just want to exploit it immediately because it does a lot of damage right at the start. You can also get some random lucky bomb drops here if you don't have one. The nice thing about this little gauntlet. Now, the final fight here is really, really scary because his super punch, or super kick there, as you just saw, did basically all my health in 2 hits. But in this case, if you kind of zone him a little bit, you can keep him from hurting you. And then if you play it really safe, you can just backtrack every time he kicks, and it's super, super simple. But yeah, that's basically that game in a nutshell. I want to submit this version as opposed to the Japanese version called Spartan X because there's a slight difference in the last level. You don't really get that final gauntlet in the Japanese version, which is not convenient for speed, but it's convenient just for marathon safety because there's a lot of health drops and bomb drops at the very end. And it kind of makes it a little more interesting. The last level is really, really kind of short and underwhelming if you don't have that cool little preview section, in my opinion. But yeah, thank you for watching. That's Spartan X, or I should say Kung Fu Master for the Game Boy. Thank you.